Hello everybody, Jade Hamilton here, and today I have got another of my new little bears. This is Sebastian, or Sebby for short. He's got his bib on backwards. I think he thinks it makes him look like Superman, don't you, buddy? Hey? We're going to have to turn his bib around. But he is a Finding Dory Build-A-Bear who I found on eBay for £10. And I just absolutely fell in love with him. I love his beautiful ambery hazel eyes. He's got these huge eyes like a bush baby. He's beautiful. He's got beautiful, soft, ultramarine blue fur. And he's a big boy. He's a 0 to 3 month size. And to introduce him to you today, we're joining in with Monday's tag from D at the Baby Patch, which is Whatever I Want Monday. And for Whatever I Want Monday, Sebby has got on this wonderful 2-piece set. I can't remember which brand it is, I'm so sorry, but it's got these wonderful multicoloured stripes in pale blue and white and chartreuse green and yellow. It's a matching top and pants, and he looks so cute in it, honestly. And he's also got, because his name's Sebastian, a beautiful blue bib with a red crab on the front. He's, as I say, he's absolutely gorgeous. He's a little bit of a tinker, but I absolutely love him to pieces. And to celebrate Sebby's arrival, and although I'm 2 days late, to celebrate the start of a new week, we're also starting a new story. This time round it's a story called Ella on the Outside by Kath Howe, which is a very recent children's book, but I thought I'd read it to you guys because it's one of my favourite stories. As per all videos where I read, all copyright goes to Kath Howe and Nosy Crow. I own absolutely nothing. Make yourself comfortable, grab yourself a hot drink if you've got one, or a cold one if you'd rather. Grab yourself a blanket if you're chilly, or a fan if you're warm. Make yourself comfy, and we'll start our story. Won't we, Sebby? Yeah. His full name's Sebastian Stephen, by the way. And he, as I say, is a rather special little boy. Right, let's get this story up then. And chapter 1 is called New Girl. Dear Dad, when I look into the sky some days, I feel better because I know it must be the same view from you when you look up. If you saw a bird, maybe it would be flying over my house a bit later on. But then other days it's worse. The sky seems so big, it makes me feel as if you are a very, very long way away. Do you think we could both always look out at the sky at the same time each day? Like maybe 7 o'clock in the morning? I think that might help. Should we choose a time? Should we do that, Dad? Love, Ella. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Hello, Puss. I stepped across the grass towards the grey cat under the tree and held out my phone to get a picture. I clicked my tongue. She turned her head. Perfect. The sun was falling on her back just right, lighting her stripes gold. Ella! Suddenly Mum was in the garden beside me, all smart in her suit. I need you inside now, Ella. But I have to take more photos, I said. You'll have to do them later, but they're for Dad. Mum's jaw locked. Look, love, I've got to go to work after I drop you at school, and I said I'd be in by 9 o'clock. If we're not in the car in 5 minutes, we'll all be late. I trailed after her, back into the kitchen. Put this on. She held out a blue cardigan. Its little gold buttons glinted. That's blue. The uniform's green. I've ordered your uniform. It's not my fault it hasn't come yet. Look, love, this is quite greenish. Mum locked the back door and shut the dishwasher. It's not green, I said, and it's for old women. I can't wear it. Mum slammed down on. Mum slammed down our new lunchboxes, glaring now. Ella, Jack's in his home clothes too. I looked over at Jack at the breakfast table, cereal spilling out of his grinning mouth. So what? Jack doesn't care what he wears, I said. He gets filthy and covered in paint anyway. For your information, that old woman's cardigan's mine, Mum snapped, and it's all we've got. You've got to wear something. Or be a nudie, Jack suggested. I lunged at him, but Mum stepped in front of me. In the car, both of you, this minute. Her voice had a sob in it. I'm tired of this rudeness, Ella. It's time you helped. It's hard enough. I pulled on her ugly cardigan. Hot little pinpricks started nipping me. I rubbed my wrist backwards and forwards along the top of the kitchen chair. Stupid first day. Stupid clothes. We should never have come here. I followed the office lady down the wide, echoey corridors into Willow class and stood while my new teacher, Mr. Hales, introduced me. This is Ella, everyone. Let's all try and make her feel really welcome. Willow class, green and grey, heads and faces, eyes studying me. I pulled my cuffs down over my red, itchy hands. My mouth wouldn't smile at all, like a person in an old photo. Mr. Hale seemed the friendliest person here. He had spiky blonde hair and a pierced eyebrow. I peeped at the place where the ring went in. Now let's see where there's a space. He pointed to an empty seat at the front. Why don't you sit next to Stiggy? I sat The boy beside me made an evil grin. Your jumper's the wrong colour. Playtime. The playground was massive. I hung upside down on the monkey bars in case Moor Lane School looked better the other way up. But it didn't. It was safe around the edge. Some people are edge people in playgrounds. Popular people go where they want, and they're often in the middle, like colourful fish swimming in the sea. I was a grey fish, an edgy fish. I watched one girl called Lydia who was surrounded by girls the whole time, linking arms with each other and whispering. She was all glossy brown hair, clips and clasps, polished. Her laugh sounded like a song, little notes up and up. When she laughed, one of her friends would do the laugh too, as if they were saying, "Wow, Lydia, you are the best entertainment on the planet." That's how it felt. I tried joining in the laughing when they were standing near, but those girls just turned and stared goofy-eyed. "What's so funny?" said the faces. "You don't fit." They were right. "I'm sorry," I said, and moved away. I'd always had grace. When we started at nursery, we met when we started at nursery. Albatrosses find their friend for life, and if their friend dies, they stay on their own. Albatrosses don't have to go to school. Grace had an older sister and a cat. Her mum was at home a lot because she taught piano and looked after Grace's grandma. They had a big garden and we used to play out there all the time because she and her sister had a summer house shed thing with actual rugs and cushions, and her mum let her do anything they wanted. I couldn't have a summer house like Grace because Jack would have wrecked it and Mum would have made me tidy it up. Me being on my own without Grace today hurt like bare feet outside in winter. I was in another country where no one spoke the same language even though they seemed to. If a person could make a relative with a wish, maybe press a button or something like that, I would have chosen Grace as my sister. Even if I had to keep Jack, at least I'd have her as well. I looked round the faces in Willow class, wishing Grace's face was among them, like suddenly she'd be there. I decided to come and live here. I'm actually your long-lost sister, no one told us. Mum's awful cardigan made everything worse. It was not a bit green. Mum needed her eyes testing. Over here, look, new girl in the stupid cardigan. If only they'd let me keep my lovely new phone. I'd hardly stopped playing with the brilliant camera. I'd put Grace's number in and texted her. Hi Grace, there's no one here like you. Miss you lots, Ella. But the lady in the office told me I had to hand in my phone every day and collect it at the end of school. When we had reading, everyone got moved around and I was put next to Bryony. She was weird. She kept frantically waving, but she hardly ever stayed in her seat until a grown-up helper came to sit next to her and tried to persuade her to work. She sat so close to me, nudging up nearer and nearer, as if she hadn't got her own seat, and she talked all the time. I could hardly hear the teacher. Then she started stroking my pencil case. "It's furry," she shrilled. "It could be alive." I ended up shoving it back in my bag. Wasn't there anyone else on their own? Another pair person? Like me? I checked the room secretly. Everyone had their special friend, that person to laugh with. Nobody smiled over at me. No one needed a new friend. I was an extra, a being new person. They would look at me if they wanted me, and none of them were looking at me. And then, at the back, hunched over a table, I saw a dark-haired girl on her own. I sneaked looks at her. Maybe she was watching me too. When we were doing art, making our own Van Gogh portraits, Mr. Hales said we could sit where we liked. I clutched my bag to my chest, stood over, and walked over so the new girl would see me. I smiled. She stared up at me, glassy-eyed. Then she bent, collected her bag, and spread her things right across the desk, as if she was saving that space for someone else. I'd been wrong. She didn't want to know me. I stood there like a lemon until Mr. Hales told me to sit next to that irritating Stiggy boy again. "Van Gogh cut his ear off," I whispered. "I'm going to draw me with only one ear." He grinned. "You could draw you with no nose." He was just like my brother. "Go away and fall off a cliff," I said, rubbing my wrist against the edge of my desk. But at least that boy had talked to me. I was rubbish at being new. On a scrap of paper at home time, I tried making myself a to-do list the way Mum always did, just to look busy. 1. Get a green jumper now. Get a plain black school bag. Find a pencil case with no kittens. Number 2, get a plain black school bag. Number 3, find a pencil case with no kittens. Number 4, shoes. Brown lace-ups are a disaster. Maybe if some paint fell on them. All the girls have nice shoes. All these girls have nice shoes. Shiny with flaps or studs or buckles. Find a real friend who doesn't make out my pencil case is alive or suggest I cut off my nose. Mum collected me. She was picking up Jack anyway. I exploded the minute the car door swung shut. I have to get the right uniform. I can't go back in there in this cardigan. Mum stopped the traffic lights. Well, actually, I did notice. But Jack interrupted, yelling out, as usual, "There's a boy in my class who's got a pencil case with engines." Mum smiled. "Has he, Jack? And the pens inside have faces." Jack was munching crisps. "Why did he get crisps?" I snatched the packet. "I am trying to talk about my uniform," I shouted. "Ella, that was unkind. Jack's allowed to tell me about his day too," snapped Mum. "What's got into you? You promised you'd try harder when I let you have the phone." She sighed. "Look, love, I've seen an advert for second-hand uniform in the shop window in the supermarket. Can we go there now? Can we go there now? Not this minute. We'll have tea and drop Jack at his new football training." "But we'll go today. I don't care what it's like. We have to buy it." Chapter 2, Number 13. Dear Dad, I hope you're not sad. I'm going to tell you about our new house. It's number 74, Ash Grove. Everything's tidy and all the boxes are empty now, even though we only got here last week. There's a bedroom each. Mine's yellow. Mum let me choose the paint. There's a fluffy grey cat who comes to visit us. I can see her in the garden. What can you see out of your window? Jack and I are at Moor Lane School. Grandma sent me an iPhone and the camera is so fun. Mum says her new job makes me very tired. Have you got lots to do? I'm sending one photo of the cat and one of the new house. Jack wants to let you have the picture he drew as well. He says it's a tiger. I have to print photos with proper photo paper and it takes ages. Love, Ella. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Mum and I stood outside number 13. The house was the corner one at the end of our road. "We do not buy at the door," and "no callers," said all the stickers on the front. It opened about 3 centimetres when Mum pressed the bell. When I first saw a girl on the step, I thought she must be older than me because she looked about 10 feet tall. Dark hair, grey tracksuit, bare feet. But then I recognised her from my class. It was a girl who sat on her own at the back, the gloomy-eyed one who had put her bag up on the desk. Mr. Hales had called her Molly. Just my luck. The unfriendliest person. Molly must have recognised me too, because she just looked down at the steps. "Who is it?" she mumbled. "We came about the jumper," said Mum, adding, "Is it you that's selling it?" Molly scowled. "Just one moment." She disappeared back inside. "Well, she's obviously not going to ask us in," whispered Mum. A wave of sadness hit me. I remembered Grace. When Dad was gone, I sat all day in her summer house, hugging her fairy ladybird cushion, and she brought biscuits and squash, and made me a card that said, "Oh, Ella," O without an H, "Ella, I'm really sorry, but really is spelled R-E-L-Y. Molly's house was smaller than ours. The curtains were drawn upstairs, even though it wasn't dark outside. The front room looked gloomy too, with what looked like boxes piled up against the window. Molly slid out through the front and thrust a carrier bag into my arms. "That's all of it," she said flatly. "There are shirts I grew out of too. No point keeping things when you don't need 'em." When I took it out, her jumper looked very old. It smelled old too, dank and musty, but it was the right green. "You'll need to try it on, Ella," Mum said brightly. "What, here? You want me to try on clothes outside someone's house?" "Don't start," muttered Mum, holding my gaze. I knew what that meant. "Don't you dare argue, otherwise no jumper." "They'll fit. I grew out of them," Molly said. "You're small." "How rude." "Well, you're massive," I nearly said. And it was true. Molly's arms looked so lanky and giraffe-like they stuck right out of the sleeves of the grey tracksuit she had on. She might as well have sold that to us too. I pulled off my hoodie and pulled on the manky jumper. "It's only for a while." Mum had ran her hand over a place where the sleeve had been mended in a brownish kind of colour, "until the office gets your new ones." Mum sighed. "Is your mum in?" Molly flinched, shook her head. "No." "Ma!" A faint woman's voice called from inside the door. Molly froze. "Molly!" Louder. "I have to go in," Molly said, and she disappeared back inside. "How strange," Mum said. Mum's phone went. "It's my office. I won't be a sec, love." She walked back down to the gate. "But Mum, ask how much." Mum called before talking out animatedly into her phone. Why did Mum always dash off? I felt something tickling my ankle. I looked and jumped back. A rabbit had come out of the house. A really big one was sniffing around my shoes, like in Alice in Wonderland. My first thought was to grab my phone, take a picture, but he could run over out here. Silly thing. I gently nudged him with my foot. "In you go, come on." I pushed the front door, whooshing him back in. Shadows seemed to close around me. I looked slowly up. Molly's hall was a mountain. Chapter 3, Rabbits and Mountains. Hi, Dad. Here's a photo of my new bedroom for you. Mum says it's very yellow. A bit of a shock, but I like it. It will be like good weather all year. Love, Ella. Kiss, kiss, kiss. You know when you have a doll's house and some mean brother tips it on its side and all the little things tumble and fall? Well, that was Molly's house. Someone seemed to have shaken it so hard that some of the furniture had fallen over. That there was far more furniture than normal houses too. Enough for 10 houses. I could see wardrobes, chairs, sculptures, an actual sink. In the middle of the hall, and machinery and packages and jugs and blankets and, well, just everything. The smell was bad, cabbagey. Rabbits and cabbages, weird. I shouldn't be in here, but I still wanted to get a photo of that rabbit. Where was he? I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, set off past the sink, a chest of drawers, basket of clothes, a table on its side, through into the darkened front room. More old stuff, a rocking horse, a pottery pot. There it was, the whisk of white, strong back legs leaping, the white rabbit. Click, click. No wonder the room looked so dark from outside. A white bobtail disappeared into a tunnel of wooden furniture legs. Click. A rolled up carpet. A piano, and yes, a rocking horse on top. A picture on top of a suitcase, on top of an armchair, on top of Russell. Something stirred. Molly? A little breathy voice. A head turning. I looked down. The side of a pale face with a dark cloak wrapped round. White fingers stretching out to me. A person. I was back in the hallway in a flash and out the door, panting, shoving the phone in my pocket. Feet came down the stairs. I stood on the front doorstep, swung round, and felt eyes on me. Molly, only just behind. Where's your mum? Has she gone? She asked. It was like a challenge, like, have you lost her? Mum got a phone call. Molly's stern eyes rested on me. I made my face blank. My eyes slid down to a pair of mud-crusted green PE socks dangling from her hand. I grew out of these too, she said in her flat, dead voice. £10 for all of it. I nodded frantically. Thank you. Okay, I'll get the money off Mum. Thank goodness, just then Mum appeared at the garden gate. £10 was handed over. Molly retreated back inside. Nice to meet you, called Mum as the front door slammed shut. I shook my head at Mum. Where did you leave me? I took off, running up the road. It felt so good to be away from there. Mum caught up. Ella, slow down. I want to talk to you. Did you know that girl from school? I think she's in my class. She's called Molly. She's weird. I think maybe she's shy. She's rude. Well, at least we got your jumper. Let's give it a wash. It is second hand. No, Mum. I need it for tomorrow. Mum frowned. All right. Well, that's another thing ticked off. She let us in. She had a little cupboard in the hall with hooks for all the keys and handed me hers to hang up. I want to cycle to school. Can I asked. It seems rather early days. I'll think about it. I stared at the keys with their new labels. Back door, bikes, spare, front. The key ring looked familiar. I unhooked it. A yellow and blue snapping crocodile, hard and shiny. It was Dad's. I'd given it to him for his birthday. I remember him saying how much he loved the snapping crocodile, how he'd never lose his keys again. I twisted the key off, hung it back on the hook, and put the key ring in my pocket. I wiped my eyes and took my shoes off. That evening after tea, I flicked through the pictures on my phone, looking for the rabbit. Most of them were Molly's strange house. The rabbit was only good in one of them, leaping away from the camera. Molly's house looked like nobody cared. At least I got my jumper, even if it did look old and worn. Even though only a few hours had passed, I felt as if I must have dreamed Molly's strange house down the road, like a place in a film. That evening, Mum came to say good night and watched me while I soaked my hands. I saw you were writing to Dad again, she murmured. I darted a look at her, my face flushing, and stopped swirling the oil around my fingers. Have you written to him, Mum? Mum sighed. You're not old enough to understand. He won't know what we're doing. Words tumbled out. I need to tell him about the house and school, and I don't mind you writing. Mum's voice had gone firm and brisk. Now, let's just leave it. She patted my hands dry, handed me my pot of cream, and helped me rub it in. I'm glad we sorted out your uniform. I climbed into bed and she kissed me. And you're pleased with the phone? Grandma was determined to get you one. It's brilliant. I love it. Mum was at my door, but then she stopped. Just one thing. Let's not talk about what happened in Milton. With other people, I mean. Nobody. I really can't discuss this, Ella. There's so many new things to sort out. She came over and hugged me tightly. We're going to be happy here. New school, my job. Please, love, don't argue. She flicked off my light. Good night. Chapter 4. Party invite. Dear Dad, there's a girl on our road called Molly and our house is a big mess because no one tidied it. Mum would call it a disgrace. Mum says I can cycle to school, but not yet. I think about you a lot at night. You know the creaky floorboards outside your bedroom and you pretending it was our own friendly ghost? In this house it's the water pipes. They clank on at 6 o'clock in the morning and Mum says a rude thing and gets up. Ella. Kiss, kiss, kiss. The next day, Mr. Hale smiled at me as I came in and took my place. He'd changed his eyebrow ring for a black stud. I fidgeted with the sleeves. I fidgeted with the sleeves of Molly's old jumper in the morning classroom. Sorry I keep pausing, gang. My wrists were flaming red. I'd scratched them badly in the night. The jumper felt prickly, but I didn't take it off. My white school shirt was short-sleeved. Everyone would see. Horrid eczema. Where's your blue jumper? Stiggy asked. A rabbit at it, I said. Really? Stiggy's eyebrows were up. I rolled my eyes at him. It's a joke. Molly was at the back again, bent over a notebook. Molly was at the back again, bent over a notebook. She never talked to anyone, and nobody talked to her. Like a piece of furniture, a girl-shaped grey table. At playtime, I stayed around the edge of the playground again, hanging off the railings, gazing up, trying to decide what kind of animals the clouds looked like. And then a face took the place of a cloud, and Lydia was there, all smart, her chestnut hair scrunched in little clips that must have taken ages to do, and bracelets on her wrists, even though they weren't allowed. Ella, she called. You live near me. I've seen you. You've got a little brother in my sister's class. My heart raced. Why'd she come over to talk to me? His name's Jack, I said, all in a rush. Lydia stayed there looking at me. Well, my sister Anna's a champion swimmer. Oh? I tried to look interested and pleased. So you got your uniform then? Her eyes scanned me like someone staring at things in a shop where they wouldn't usually visit. I pulled down my cuffs. It's from a girl in my road. Until my proper things arrive. Said Lydia, smiling. You've changed your school bag too. Lydia's eyes were so big they shined more than normal eyes. Yep. She tossed her hair and the clips clicked. I like the kittens. Cute. I tried to feel pleased. At least Lydia was being friendly, wasn't she? Well, bye! Bye! She called, skipping away. She wouldn't be back. I looked at the clouds again and wished I could be up on top of them. Of one girl, on top of one, a girl in a cloud, lost in whirling smoke. I kept trying to join conversation, then finding myself standing alone. Boys wouldn't talk to me properly. In Milton there'd always been loads of boys I could chat to, but these ones seemed to race off or laugh. The sun came out and I wondered and watched shouting people rushing around and calling for someone to pass them the ball. Molly was perched up by the railings near me with a notebook on her knee. She didn't look up. My eyes were drawn back to Lydia because she was surrounded by so many laughing girls, like a queen bee. And what was I, Ella Mackay, a newbie? Imagine being in the middle of everyone. Oh, ask Ella. Ella's so fun. Afternoon break, I watched people coming and going at the water fountain, like birds, head peck down, head peck up. A voice shouted my name. Ella! I saw Lydia swinging her legs on the monkey bars. Come here. I hurried over and stretched my arms out to help Lydia down. She gave me a smile, just like that, like a gift. I'm going to Innie's after school, she said. Suddenly, I desperately wanted to go to Innie's too, even though I'd only just worked out which one she was. To curl up with a friend and watch TV and play games and laugh. Well, anything really. Does she live near here? Lydia smiled and pursed her lips together, as if she had something hard to explain. No, her mum's picking us up. We might go to a film. I knew what she meant. It's all planned. You're not included. Buzz off. Okay. Oh, well, bye then. I turned away, but Lydia bobbed back beside me. The smile came on again. I'm having a party next weekend for my birthday. My heart skipped a beat. Are you? My voice sounded squeaky, too excited. I tried again. Are you? Are you? That sounded... Are you? That sounded better. Saturday, 4:30. Lydia was still smiling, fixing her big blue eyes on me. And a sleepover. 4:30, I repeated, as if it was a memory test. Lydia skipped away and left me on top of the world. An invitation, a party. But as soon as she'd gone, worries started nagging at me. Had she invited me to the party just then? She wasn't telling me about her party just for something to chat about, was she? All the rest of the day, I replayed what she'd said. Saturday, 4:30, sleepover. I kept gazing across the classroom. Would Lydia hand me a smart invitation? A smart invitation? Then I'd know. If you'd taken a picture of me, you'd have seen me concentrating and listening. I kept the green jumper on so no one would see the sore patches down my arms. I would blend in. If I could blend. I'd be so blended I'd be liquidized. I hung around the edge of Lydia's group. I smiled whenever they smiled, laughed whenever they all seemed to be laughing. They all wore woven blue and green a woven blue and green bracelet. Lydia had bought them on holiday. "Hey Lydia, did you know this?" one of them would call, or "I heard this hilarious thing." The group was a mixture of different girls, so complicated. There was Sophie, who was nearly always with Lydia. Then there was Hannah and Rachel, and then Zing and Emmy. Emmy was always rushing back from being in a sports team, but she was the most smiley, which must be good. Rachel actually talked to me sometimes. Hannah and Zing giggled a lot. Sophie sort of looked past me, as if she was waiting for someone else. I waited for my party invitation, but nothing happened and nobody mentioned it. Mum had arranged me to do an art club after school on Mondays because I liked art. Jack would be doing football practice. There was a special art loft at the top of the school in the roof space, with beams stretching up and the sun pouring in through the huge roof window. The teacher was a proper artist. The first surprise was the radio playing in the corner and the voice of the DJ announcing songs. A woman with a mass of white hair under a stripy hat appeared out of a dark alcove. "Just emptying the kiln," she said in a warm, friendly voice. "Spread yourselves. You need room to breathe." She saw me and came over. "Our new girl, this is not an ordinary club. We have 2 important rules. Don't be horrid and don't scarf all the biscuits. Welcome to our club, Ella." There were 12 of us. Each person took a table to themselves. All around us were interesting things to get ideas from and strange objects to draw. Shells, costumes, driftwood and puppets, a skeleton and a bowler hat in the corner. The club had started several weeks before, so the others were used to finding their own things. "Okay, Ella, this is not a telling off club. This is not an all doing the same club. This is a what do I really love? Okay, I'll do that club," said our teacher. "What do you want to do? Make something? Create an image?" Miss Denby looked like a hen, rounded, not very tall, her white hair scrunched and flying out at the sides. I stared at the messy paint stains on her shirt and decided I liked her. I took out a photo of waves rushing into a cave. "Did you take this yourself?" Miss Denby asked. "Yes, great." Miss Denby suggested I make a collage of my photo using tiny little bits of torn up paper from magazines, matching colours and laying them glued next to each other on the white until the white paper underneath couldn't be seen anymore. She left me to start. A few minutes passed. The door crashed open. Chapter 5. A bird with a large beak. "Dear Dad, I've been watching a squirrel. Sometimes it dashes up and down, but other times it goes frozen still. maybe it knows I'm watching and wants to pretend to be a bit of tree. It doesn't understand that it's easy to see. Do you ever wish that you could be so still and frozen that nobody would see you? Ella, kiss, kiss, kiss. Sorry, I'm late again, miss. Mum was dropping off my equipment. It was Lydia. Just sort yourself out, Lydia. Called Miss Denby. Ella, you're here. Lydia plonked herself down right beside me and put down a large wooden box, a bit like a briefcase, and began unloading it. I can't let you have any of my things. They cost £200. I'll tell you about them though. This is a kind of smudger. This is a very expensive ink that Mum has to order. She says I'm unusually creative. What's that, Sebby? Lydia sounds like a bit of a bragger. Yes, she does, doesn't she? Lydia seems to be the type that if you've been to paradise, she's got a season ticket, to quote the line by Willie Russell. Being next to Lydia in art club was like having the TV on in the house, except that every now and then I had to agree with her or she would ask a question and wait for an answer. But mostly she just prattled. Like a bird with a very large beak. This is so fun, Miss Denby. You're my favourite teacher, miss. Miss, when's your birthday? Which is your car in the car park? If I make this blue then yellow, it looks wrong. Can we have the radio louder? Mrs. Denby seemed used to her. Lydia Sheridan, you're like a wind-up toy. Just give us all a bit of peace, she said. I love this song. Lydia started singing. You're my only... Lydia, that's too loud, Miss Denby called. Can I hum then? Lydia, everyone else is getting on with their work except you. Lydia flicked ink on her picture. That's ruined now. She flicked some more. Actually, I think it looks better. She grabbed my arm and hugged me to her. Art club is perfect now you're here. I tore off more bits of coloured magazine to add to my pile. You and me are going to bring sweets every week. Miss Denby won't care. She gets cross, whispered Lydia, but she's a pussycat. A pussycat with ears who can hear every word you say, young lady. Young lady, Miss Denby said. Lydia smiled. Then her face changed. You haven't forgotten about my party, have you, Ella? She asked sharply. Her eyebrows went up. She tutted. Well, you are coming, aren't you? Ask your mum. Yes, I'll ask her. Thank you. She giggled. Lydia poked my hand. Funny Ella, she giggled. Thank you, I said again, giggling too. Hi, Grace. My room is yellow. I'm going to miss your birthday. Sad face emoji. Who are you sitting next to? Hi, Ella. I'm sitting with Abby. She says hi. Hi, Grace. A cat comes in our garden. A bit like Percy, but fatter. Can you come and visit one day? At home that evening. Mum cleared and piled up the towels while I soaked my hands and rubbed all the different creams into the hot, irritated skin. So have you made any friends yet? She asked. I think so. And you're getting used to it? I nodded. And the lessons, maths and writing? The work's fine, Mum. You mentioned somebody. Lydia? Mum held out a towel and folded it over my fingers. I love that moment when the itching stops. She invited me to her party next Saturday, so she must think I'm all right. Mum laughed. Of course she does, love. That's great. She frowned. You don't look very happy about it. It's just, I don't really know her. I don't really know anyone. I thought about Grace's text and found my eyes filling with tears. Maybe Grace had a proper friend already. I know it's hard, but just be yourself, love, Mum was saying. I didn't say it to Mum, but I wasn't sure what being myself meant. When she'd gone, I drew a picture of Lydia and stuck a crown on her head with the title Lydia's Court Rules. Number 1. Lydia decides everything. You're lucky if she chooses you. She can go off people, but you can't go off her. Lydia has nice things, especially hair and art things. Number 4. If I'm lucky, I'll get to be her third best friend. Exciting. I switched off the light again and made myself think about all the photos I could take and the strange objects in the art room. I thought about Grace and the days we'd spent decorating the wall in her summer house with snippets from magazines, sketches and photos, and telling her everything, even the hardest things. Grace felt very real when the light was off. So real I sat up and texted her again. Grace, are you okay? Did you get my message about coming to see me for a weekend or something? Can you ask your mum? I really want to see you. I lay in bed and tried to imagine Lydia being in the garden with me instead of Grace. Or sometimes me being the one she chose to sit next to in class rather than Sophie or Rachel. I thought about us laughing together in art club, but Lydia was a loud person. And anyway, how would I ever get to be her first choice? I felt like a person in the queue, but at the back. Lydia seemed to like me, but she didn't know me. But she had invited me to her party. School got easier as that first week went on. Willow class were okay. I liked Mr. Hales, especially when he played his guitar for us. Stiggy was actually quite funny and rude, and there were other people who hated PE as much as I did. I couldn't help scratching the backs of my hands and rubbing them against the metal edges of the school chairs. We went to a doctor's surgery. How's your new school, Ella? The doctor asked. Have you made some friends? Are you happy? I stared at the colours in his beard. I kept nodding. My head could have fallen off, I was nodding so much. We came out with bags and bags of new creams, and Mum kept saying no one would look at my hands. I loved taking pictures with the new camera on my phone, by the river, apples in a bowl, our bikes leaning in the shed. And all week long I felt ripples of excitement and worry each time I remembered I was going to Lydia's party. Ooh. So school and things have had a few ups and downs for poor Ella. We'll see what happens in the next instalment. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, subscribing, commenting. It really makes my day when you do. If you haven't subscribed to Dee at the Baby Patch yet, please do. She's a lovely, lovely lady who deserves a lot more subs, so do go and give her some love if you can. And Sebby and I will see you soon for another story. Can you wave, Sebby? Good boy. Thanks so much, everybody. Cheerio!